And alright guys, welcome along to another episode of 420 News, and 420 News brought to you by Martin's World, and I'm your show host, Martin Condon. What's going on out there guys? What's happening, Chris, and everybody else who's out there watching or about to tune in. Guys, it's Monday. Hope you've had a great weekend. Hopefully you haven't been interfered with by the authorities out there. Hopefully you haven't had your cannabis taken off you. Because there's always somebody has their cannabis taken off them every bloody week, because I wouldn't have 420 News if there wasn't. Do you know what I would prefer if I didn't have 420 News? I would rather not have 420 News than to be reporting on like all of you getting your cannabis taken off you out there. But unfortunately, until that day comes, I'm just going to keep on reporting on all of this kind of crap that's going on out there because of prohibition and all of that kind of nonsense. So I see Teresa, Adrian. What's happening, Adrian? What's happening, Teresa? Joe and Mistowes. Guys, welcome along. Hope you're all doing good. I know I'm doing fine anyway. Adrian says, hey bud, hope all is good. Have you got a 420 organised for this year? Adrian, I do actually. I've a little poster there that I've been putting together, making a few little tweaks to it, but certainly I'm going to be organising a protest for 420 for Cork City. I believe, last year we kind of gave respect to the restrictions and everything, and we held off on our 420 annual protest. Happens every year for God only knows how many years now in a row. 420 is being celebrated but as a day of protest for the cannabis community. So this year I'm certainly going to be getting one together. I'm aiming to have people gather at about 3 o'clock outside of the Cork City Library, and we'll kind of have talks and stuff there. We'll have the Gardaí will be there as well. The Gardaí will escort us then around the city, and we'll finish back then where we started, where we'll have some more talks there from speakers, and maybe even a little bit of music too, if it all works out. I have been making moves there to get that all set up there for the April 20th. So that's on a Tuesday, I believe. 3 o'clock, April 20th, Cork City, outside of the Cork City Library. Social distancing or whatever public health guidelines are in place will have to be adhered to on the day. But look, we'll deal with that as it comes to it. But certainly there is a protest going to be held in Cork City on April 20th at 3 o'clock outside of the Cork City Library. So guys, let's get on with the 420 News, and we can have more of a chat there as we get to the end of it. See Podge is out there as well. I'm doing good, Podge. Nice one there for the comments, and I'm glad to see, Podge, as well, that you're doing very good. I think you're almost 4 weeks into no cigarettes now, after kicking the tobacco. So well done, Podge. Long may that continue, man. Yeah, fair play to you. So other guys out there, other news out there, guys, outside of Podge's good news, it is that in the UK, there was a man who was forced to grow cannabis after his family was threatened. Not only was his family threatened, but this man was a refugee from Albania. I don't know if he was actually a refugee. It's just that Albania is a common source of refugees for Ireland, so I'd imagine he was probably under some refugee status there as well, trying to seek asylum, because he was even being taken advantage of at a car wash that he was working at. He would work sometimes 12-hour days, and he was receiving as little as £13 for his day's work. So he was being exploited there. He was given an opportunity then to make a little bit more money, but he was tending to the cannabis plants. While he was lured in with the opportunity to make money, he was also under pressure there, because back in Albania that there was threats being made against his family. I don't know, was there money being lended to him or something like that in order to him to get to the UK? And that's what the threats were about. It doesn't really go into too much detail here in this. But again, I just like why I'm reporting on this is just to point out how prohibition has enabled, again, criminal gangs to take advantage of a person who, he's only wanting a better life. He's a guy from about Albania. He's seen an opportunity to go to the UK. He might have taken a loan out over there from one of the kind of the gangs that would give people loans to travel outside of the country. And then when he was over there, I don't know, was he unable to make the payments back because of how he was being exploited in the UK? Maybe the work he was doing in the UK actually was as part of that, that the gang who gave him the loan were actually attached to the car wash, and that's why he was getting paid so little. I'm not too sure there, look, as I say, but again, a very vulnerable person. That's the key thing here, is this guy was vulnerable. There's criminals out there who've been empowered by the prohibition of drugs to take advantage of these vulnerable people. and nothing is being done about it. You know, the authorities are not calling for a change in the policies that enable these criminal gangs to take such advantage of vulnerable people like this. So in this situation anyway, this man, he was caught in the cannabis grow house. He was 27 years of age. He is 27 years of age, and he was caught with cannabis plants that had a street value of between 88,000 or 266,000. And the range there is because in the UK they break down the value based upon what it would have been worth on bulk and what it would have been worth at the street level. They don't do that here in Ireland. So in bulk, £88,000, in kind of street deals, so to speak, £266,000. There's a massive difference there in that. And it's good, I think, that the UK does that actually, and kind of differentiate between the two. Over here in Ireland, you know, we hear people getting brought into the court over €20,000 worth of cannabis, but meanwhile they actually probably only paid maybe at most €10,000 for that cannabis. You know, so it's interesting. In this case, anyway, the man, he got off like in a sense, he got a suspended sentence. It was a 16-month sentence, suspended in its entirety, and he also got 200 hours of unpaid work. But it seems like from his past experiences, he might be used to unpaid work. And he also got 30 days of rehabilitation in that. Not too sure what that actually means. Maybe he had some other addictions going on there. I'm not too sure. Or is this kind of a part and parcel of the thing, because there's guys out there attached to the courts, and you know, they need their numbers coming through their rehabilitation services, and I'm not too sure there. But again, you know, just highlighting how cannabis prohibition, drug prohibition enables criminal gangs to take advantage of vulnerable people. End prohibition and we can end the people like this being taken advantage of. So other news out there, guys, and we're going to head back on to Ireland, where in Ireland our Gardaí again have been busy over the weekend, where a man in his 20s was arrested over this, like what you see on the screen here. It looks like fucking kebab sticks or something. I'm not too sure what the hell is in that. Like, is that some, like, I don't know, is there some sort of tape around the outside of a package? I don't have a clue. Honestly, it looks like a kebab stick to me, just uncooked kebab meat or something. I hope it's not hash. But this was seized above in County Roscommon, and a man in his 20s was arrested. The valuation of the drugs was estimated to be €123,000. So again, our Gardaí wasting their time carrying out a search on the warrant at 10 p.m. on a property in Roscommon as part of Operation Tara, which is aimed at reducing drug-related deaths by targeting drug dealing in communities. Man, that's crazy. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if Operation Tara, which is aimed at reducing drug deaths, actually done something effective in reducing drug deaths, such as maybe ensuring the quality of the supply of the drugs? Because a lot of the times people who die from drug overdoses is to do with drug quality, and information around the strength of the drugs they're consuming. So again, if there was facilities available in all of our guard stations, let's say, or anywhere, like, yeah, let's not say guard station, because if you're a drug user, the last place you want to go with your drugs to be tested is a guard station. But imagine if you could walk into a facility anywhere in the city where it's aimed at reducing harms of drugs, where you could test your drugs. So if you were a heroin user, you could go and find out how pure your heroin is, because we hear of heroin deaths and they're attributable to purity of heroin, when sometimes there's heroin that comes on the scene that's like ultra pure. It's really pure, and the people who are used to getting heroin on the street, like, they take their normal dose, but it's like way more opiate than they're used to, and it causes an overdose. So again, like, if Operation Tara was truly to mean what they're aiming to do, that's what they would be doing. They wouldn't be going out there raiding people's houses, because that actually doesn't help people at all. That doesn't reduce drug-related deaths at all. So a total of 4.5 kilos of cannabis herb with an estimated street value of 90,000 and 470 grams of cocaine with an estimated street value of 33,000 were seized at the scene, and a 20-year-old man was arrested as well. It's ridiculous. Like, a man in his 20s here, going to have his, I don't know, maybe a couple of years behind bars at a cost of about €100,000 per year to the prisoner, or to the state. And like, we've this Operation Tara then, which is aimed at reducing drug-related deaths. But like, how many people actually die every year from cannabis? how many? I don't think there's any really, to be honest. And cocaine, like I wonder how many people actually die of cocaine related deaths, and what's the debt related to? Is it related to, again, what I said a while ago, the purity of the drug? I think a lot of them would be down to the purity of the drug. You know, we have the late Jerry Ryan, and they found in his system were veterinary drugs. Like, his cocaine was being stamped on with veterinary drugs. Like, come on, this is ridiculous. If you were able to go into a shop and actually buy quality cocaine, you wouldn't be finding fucking horse tranquilizers or what was it? It was sheep worming tablets that was found in Jerry Ryan stuff. And crazy, like, prohibition again on its finest. Waste of time, absolute fucking joke here. Some comments coming in there, guys. Corey Bardini says, Martin, give us a shout out, bud. There you go. Hope you're doing good, Corey. Other comments coming in there. Adrian says, cool, good on you, bro. Wish I could help out. It would be great to get one going in each county. If you could see if there is much interested. Yeah, I've already expressed that, guys. If anybody in any other town, city, village out there wants to get involved in this, organise your own little event, do get in touch and I'll send you a copy of the poster so you can add your own details to it and organise yourselves. Even if you want to make it a little secret one and you organise it through Telegram or something like that, you don't have to even make it a public one. But the important thing is that we get out there, and nice one there for the follow, Daniel. But we get out there and we represent the cannabis community. I think it's very important that we do that in our own city, towns and villages, and adhere to the health guidelines at all times. But obviously, look, the 5 kilometre one is one that we might have to break because it's an essential journey. Like, what is protesting for your rights? If that's not essential, good Lord, I must look up what the meaning of essential is again, because they must have changed the meaning of it. Other comments, Sean Michael Duggan says, hello Martin, you're not on Facebook at the moment. Oh, that's a pity, man. I see 22 people are watching on Facebook though, so I'm not too sure what the crack is there. Maybe it came on afterwards. Oh yeah, there it is. Martin Organ says I'm on there. Nice one there, guys, for that. So let's belt on with some more news. And other news, the guards again being nice and busy. There was over €300,000 worth of cannabis, herb and cocaine seized in separate searches in Drogheda and Knockbridge. So again, guys, Drogheda, we reported there going back maybe late last year. Excuse me, I might have to sneeze there. Look at the bright light. No, I could feel a sneeze coming. I'm going to take a quick sup there because that's tickling me now. But I reported there last year as to the ongoing feuds that were going on up in Drogheda, and somebody made me aware that a lot of those feuds are actually related to the cocaine and the drug dealing gangs that are dealing in the cocaine up there. The cannabis plays a very small role actually up there. But despite this, yeah, we see it here, how cannabis and cocaine being found side and side again, because the same people, unfortunately, are selling it. So over 300,000 worth of drugs have been discovered following 2 separate searches. So 7 kilos of cannabis herb with an estimated street value of 244,000. But in actual fact, it was 140,000 worth of cannabis herb seized, and it was 144,000 of cannabis plants. And we see the cannabis plants here, like, they're fine looking plants. In fairness, it's a nice looking setup. Now, in fact, the bins, like, you can see the nutrients are coated all over the bins. But, like, you know, in a proper facility, everything would be spick and span, looked after. Like, this isn't far off a very good-looking cannabis facility, to be fair. Very well done there to whoever was involved. But again, nonetheless, our Gardaí have to go out and give themselves a pat in the back, you know. Oh, look at us tweeting there as to our raid. And they say they seized 204,000 worth of suspected cannabis. So I don't know what the disparity there is in the counting. Maybe there was a few plants went missing on the way to the station. Not too sure what the crack is, but nonetheless, anyway, within their replies, and it's always like stick that's been given to the cops, you know, in fairness, on their tweets. And this one came in from Pa, and Pa said, have you noticed that everyone that engages in these posts are not at all impressed by this? God almighty, one of you in there has to know that this is wrong. Speak up. And he's dead right, you know. Why don't they speak up? Because they're doing a disservice to the community. They're doing a disservice to themselves. That they put on that uniform. I would hope they put on that uniform to do good for the community, to protect people in the community. And by enforcing prohibition, you're counterproductive to that aim. You're achieving the opposite. Do you know, by enforcing prohibition, you're enabling, again, the criminal gangs, the Kinahans out there, the guys up in Drogheda who chop up young fellas, like literally dismember their bodies. You're enabling this sort of carry on. Like, I would hope Gardaí out there who put on the uniform in the morning that that's not what you want to do. And come on, guys, wake up, smell the coffee, you know, wake up, smell the cannabis. The answer is right there before you. Like, end this criminalisation of a community of people who need not be criminalised. Do you know, all drug users for that matter, none of us deserve to be criminalised. Do you know, there's people out there with legitimate health problems that need help, and the only help we can give them is in handcuffs. That's so upsetting. That's so backwards. It's very disappointing to be a part of that kind of a society that treats people like this. Do you know, have we learned anything at all from the past? You know, as to how we treated others before, in terms of, say, the gay community out there and gay marriage and stuff. Do you know, the discrimination that went on there and the undoing of that. I really do look forward to the undoing of the discrimination of the drug using community and the cannabis community that's out there. But until then, you know, we're going to be dealing with these sort of raids where the Gardaí are basically wasting their time. They might as well go down to the beach down in Youghal there with a bucket and try to empty it. And you know what? They might as well go down with a bucket with a hole at the end of it and try to empty it. Because you know, that's how much chances they have of keeping our communities safe when policing it like this. Absolutely ridiculous. And the final raid then coming out of Ireland, it's a big one, and it's €1.2 million worth of cannabis at Dublin Port. This was a raid that happened last Friday. I had missed it. It didn't make its way into the 420 news last Friday, as it kind of happened just not long before it. But 1.2 million worth of cannabis seized, and there was 55 kilos of herbal cannabis and 2 kilos of cannabis-infused jellies. The illegal drugs have a combined street value of 1.2 million. And revenue said the drugs were discovered concealed in suitcases that were stored in the driver's cab of a commercial vehicle. The lorry had disembarked from a ferry from Holyhead, and a man in his 50s was arrested by Gardaí, and investigations are ongoing. So again, like, just in the last few shows, I believe since this day last week, including this show's last Monday, I would imagine I've reported on nearly €5 million worth of cannabis after being seized. That is a crazy amount of cannabis, and still, nonetheless, guys, cannabis is, you can obtain it. There's people out there right now with cannabis for sale. I can go on to Snapchat, I can go on to Instagram, and I could buy cannabis if I wanted to right now, despite the millions worth of it after being seized in the last few days, you know, in the last week. Absolutely ridiculous. I've seen a few people point out on Twitter there, as well as this dog, he doesn't really look impressed. I don't know if you can see here in this, but yeah, he kind of doesn't really look too happy with this. He's just kind of like, oh, wasting me time again. The poor dog, he'd rather be chasing his tail. You know, he'd probably be more productive with his time if he chased his tail, because the Gardaí are certainly wasting their time with what they're doing. So yeah, that's all of the news out of Ireland. Thank God that's over with, because I've a couple of positive news pieces to touch off of outside of Ireland. So I'm glad to be able to get to them. But again, you know, to the authorities out there in Ireland, guys, come on, like, please wake up and get with the times. You're fighting a losing war. The drugs have won. If we want to help our communities, the best way we can do it is by ending this war on drugs, and by ensuring the quality of the supply of drugs, and taking the drugs away from the criminal gangs who do so much damage to our communities and put so many young people in harm's way. So onwards we go, guys, to the positive news, and we have to leave Ireland to get it as the case it normally is. So we're heading on over to America. No, I'll just get rid of all of these pictures there. Shouldn't be showing you all of these just yet. But we go to America, where the first human study focusing on cannabis has been approved for PTSD. And this was done in association with a foundation, a charitable foundation that helps veterans, known as Battle Brothers Foundation. So well done to the Battle Brothers Foundation for their work in securing this approval for a study, the first of its kind on humans, as they say. The study involves, I think it will enroll 60 Californian veterans with moderate to severe PTSD over the next year. The participants will dose and titrate individually purchased products by their own discretion. They will then be followed for 90 days to evaluate the safety and efficacy of cannabis on their symptoms. Results of the study will be documented and monitored at the time, and participants will be limited to using legally available cannabis products in California's market and will also be monitored for adverse effects due to the use of cannabis. So that's happy days, that this will be beneficial there, looking at the effects of cannabis over a 90-day period for veterans with medical resistant PTSD, actually, to be more specific in this. So these are veterans who maybe their PTSD isn't treatable by the currently available pharmaceuticals, and cannabis is certainly, from the anecdotal evidence anyway being reported, is seeming to be very beneficial for treating the symptoms of PTSD. And the founder's president, Brian Buckley, had this to say. He said, "This news could not come at a better time. Every day, 22 veterans are dying to the effects of post-traumatic stress from opioid addictions to depression. Through anecdotal experience, we know that cannabis can alleviate symptoms and provide relief. We appreciate that the IRB, which is the independent research board who approved these studies, so they appreciate that the IRB recognises the validity of and the need for this study. The study hypothesis is that cannabis treatment will be beneficial in reducing the PTSD symptoms in patients with treatment-resistant PTSD." And in the US, over the last 13 years from the wars that have been fought there, it's estimated that there's over 500,000 US troops who've currently been diagnosed with PTSD. That is an enormous amount of people there who've been diagnosed with PTSD, and they could benefit greatly from access to it. But just to bring that home, I suppose, to relate that back to home is what that could mean for Ireland, because who in Ireland, I suppose, suffers from such a high amount of PTSD. And for me, I was thinking maybe our Gardaí do. So I done a little search on that, and I was kind of like, PTSD and Gardaí, surely there's some studies done. And there was. There was a study done which found that 1 in 6 of our Gardaí suffer from symptoms of PTSD related to the high stress that they encounter within work. So that was no surprise to me, and that actually could be stretched further to 1 in 4 Gardaí. So if they were to include what they call sub-threshold PTSD, so these are people on the border who could be like just pushed over the line, with I don't know, their coffee could be gone cold too soon, and that was enough there to break the camel's back from. They're just that low, they're vulnerable again. So that's an alarming number. So our Gardaí could benefit massively from access to cannabis if it is shown to be very beneficial for reducing the symptoms of PTSD. When I was looking at this, then I found a rather alarming number. There were 7 Gardaí that took their lives over the 2018 period. I don't know what those numbers were in 2019 and 2020. But again, that's a high number of people, considering that there's 14,000 Gardaí and they only have 9 trained members in critical incident stress management. That's ridiculous that the Gardaí aren't doing that. So again, I'm starting a campaign here for our Gardaí. I think our Gardaí should be allowed access to cannabis. And there we go. Like this is in support of our Gardaí. I've no ill feelings against them. While I dislike what they do against our community and how they treat us, it is just their job. It's not their fault they're told to do it. I do believe that they should take responsibility for their actions, and they're well able to go on strike when they're not happy with their own pay and conditions. I think that they need to have some sort of a blue flu around the enforcement of the Misuse of Drugs Act, because it's putting your lives in danger, guys. And not only is it putting your lives in danger, actually the Misuse of Drugs Act, which prohibits cannabis and has prohibited the research into cannabis and its effectiveness in maybe PTSD, you're being deprived of what could be a very beneficial medicine for your members. and one with very less harmful side effects than some of the current prescribable drugs for the symptoms of PTSD. So again, like guys, Gardaí, I'm on your side, guys. You know, I don't want you to be doing this. I feel your pain. In some respects, I understand there is definitely pricks and cards out there who like what they do, and they love the power tripping of being able to search a young fella and take his cannabis off him. You know, but I don't think that's the majority. I think those guys are in a minority. You know, maybe a big minority, but still I think they are a minority within the force. And I really do look forward to a day maybe when our Gardaí can have access to cannabis. And it's brought up something else, you know, our own defence forces here in Ireland, our army soldiers, you know, they have to deal with like tough situations too. Some of them spending many months away from families, going over into these kind of conflict zones, peacekeeping and stuff like that. And they can be exposed to situations that can make them develop PTSD. And currently our defence forces are not allowed to have cannabis even on their days off, you know, they all go through the drug tests. I don't know how often Gardaí get drug tested, but if you're a member of the defence forces in the army or the navy, I believe they get tested regularly. And it's unfortunate, you know, because up in the army barracks here in Cork City, I know they have the mess, which is a bar, and alcohol is subsidised up there. Like it's not just available, but it's actually subsidised. So if our army personnel want to get a drink, our government has subsidised it for them. They've reduced the tax, making it cheaper for them. So basically, it's like a government-sponsored drug. Our government sponsor alcohol as a drug. It's endorsed by our government for our defence forces. It's endorsed also for our members of government, you know, up above in the Dáil Bar. You know, I wonder when cannabis is legalised, will the Dáil Bar also include, you know, maybe a reefer lounge? Who knows? Like, you know, what's the story? Like, if cannabis is legalised, will you be pushing for a reefer lounge above in the Dáil? Because, like, why not? If you can go to the Dáil and have a drink, like, if I'm invited up to the Dáil on official business in years to come and cannabis is legalised, I hope you have facilitated a place for me to consume my social drug of choice, you know, similar to the PEEV facilitated it for alcohol, do you know? There you go, guys. A reefer lounge in the Leinster House, out in the Dáil. Garda will take any orders given by Dublin. Sad day for Ireland. Yeah, I've seen that some people are on about the protest going on above in Dublin there. Yeah, it was ridiculous carry on up there, but nonetheless it kind of went on, and I'm calling for a peaceful protest, guys. Don't bring any fireworks, just bring big bifters. Bring your bong, do you know what I mean? I don't mind if you bring those things, but no fireworks, please, guys. Onshore Fudge, he says, I suffer with PTSD. Speaking with my therapist yesterday, I told her the exact thing. General medication only increases my issues. Do you understand the cannabis helps me have a full night's sleep and stops major thinking issues? Do you understand, but also have their hands tied to even agree with it? Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous that these therapists you speak to, that they're not reading up on the most recent research. And I know a lot of it is anecdotal, but still, despite this, it's only anecdotal evidence is available because of this, because of what I'm reporting on here. Like the fact that this is the first study of its type being carried out on humans. Why is in 2021 is this only being done now? Why wasn't this done 20 years ago, 40 years ago? Come on, like, guys, this is why we don't have the evidence to support cannabis as a medicine, because prohibition has kept it from us. You know, we'll be waiting another 10 years before we catch up. Maybe even, 10 years, I would say, before the research is done. All of it, to catch up to where we should have been. We're so fucking far behind because of prohibition. But I kind of lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, what Manshore Fudge was saying. Yeah, those therapists, it is a pity that they don't read up in this stuff and arm themselves with disinformation and question the authorities, question why they can't prescribe a man who's already consuming cannabis legally. Like, surely it's in the interest of their patient that they obtain their medicine, what they're saying is a medicine, in a controlled manner. Like, I don't understand that, and a lot of them are afraid to even question it because their license is jeopardized. But, you know, it is a shame. Hopefully in time to come, things will change for people like yourself, Monsieur. Oh, excuse me. Boom. Yeah, let's get on with the news. There's a lot of comments coming through there, guys. Ken Green says, back in the day I drank in the Barracks Bar in Cork. Forgot what it's called, but tax-free booze and tax-free cigarettes. Is the cigarettes tax-free as well up there? Man, that's news to me. I didn't know that. It's called the Mess, I believe. That's what it was called. The Barracks Bar was called the Mess. I don't know, were the soldiers messy? Nah, the Mess. But yeah, Dave Gorman says guards take the piss with pressing charges when they don't like you for whatever reason. Yeah, man. If you don't tell them who you got your cannabis off of, yeah, they're certainly going to press charges off you. They love it when you're a rat. But let's rock on, guys. Let's get the rest of the news done. So in Virginia, guys, I was reporting there not too long ago that Virginia lawmakers were debating a bill for legalizing cannabis, and they've since passed it. It's now awaiting a signature there by a Democratic by the name of something Nortman. What's his name? Ralph Nortman. So he's a Democratic governor, and he supports the legalization of cannabis. So currently the bill is sitting on his desk waiting for a signature. And under the legalisation, possession of up to an ounce of cannabis would become legal on the 1st of January 2024. And at the same time, sales would begin and regulations would go into effect to control the cannabis marketplace in Virginia. The senators also sought to legalise simple possession this year to immediately end punishments for people with small amounts of cannabis, but House Democrats argued that legalisation without a legal market could continue to promote the growth of a black market, and lawmakers decriminalised recreational cannabis last year, making simple possession a civil penalty that can be punished by a fine of no more than $25. So happy days. All along they're only getting fined for $25, but it's really annoying that during all their talks that 2024, that's over 3 years away. That's so long away. That's crazy amount of time to wait to sort this out. And I'm not alone in thinking this, because the American Civil Liberties Union of Virginia said that it does not go far enough to break the chains of cannabis prohibition, and the Virginia General Assembly has failed to legalise cannabis for racial justice. They say lawmakers paid lip service to the communities that have suffered decades of harm caused by the racist war on drugs, with legalisation that falls short of equitable reform and delays justice. And not all of the Democrats are in support of the bill. So a state senator, Jennifer McCallan, who's also a Democrat, she's called on Northam to amend the bill to legalise simple possession this year, among other changes. So again, happy days. Look, there's progress being made, but albeit slow. At least it's being challenged. So happy days. I hope the challenges are successful, and maybe Virginia has cannabis legalised before the end of the year, because it is ridiculous that you have to wait until 2024. So people out there who grow their own cannabis or have possession of cannabis are still going to have it taken off them. They're going to get a fine, and they're going to be mistreated and discriminated against for another 3 years. Well, you've acknowledged it's wrong. Why not end it there and then? Why prolong it for another 3 years, doing untold harm over that period of time? It's crazy that these people are okay. Oh yeah, let's drag it out for another 3 years, 2024, and until then we're just going to fine people $25. Stop it, come on, just end it. Put pen to paper, end the discrimination. If you want to put regulations and stuff in place, and it takes you time to sort that out, that's your problem. Stop criminalising people, stop fining people and discriminating against people because you have to sort out your regulations. That's not our problem. That isn't our problem. It really isn't. We don't deserve to be discriminated against as part of the cannabis community. And I know I'm not in Virginia, but I'm just kind of speaking collectively for the cannabis community. We don't want to be discriminated against. We are not criminals. Do you know? And in other news, guys, around the place, coming a little bit closer to home, and it is the final bit of news today, so I'm going to end on some positive news, and it is that MPs in France are debating cannabis legalisation. So MPs propose a debate on cannabis legalisation in France, and this comes off the back of a big questionnaire that they launched at the start of this year. So it ran from the 13th of January this year until the 28th of February this year. And it was called the Citizens Consultation sur l'usage de cannabis de recreif. I don't know what that means. I really don't. So yeah, I know what the other one means. Citizens consultation. Yeah, go me. But the other one, they were trying to figure out anyway what the public's opinion was on the recreational consumption of cannabis. And what they found in this is that actually the vast majority of French citizens support cannabis legalization. And when it comes to even legalization of medical cannabis, then it's like nearly all of French citizens support it. So this seems like a no-brainer. It seems like it's going to happen. Moves are being made. Waves are being made around the world in cannabis legalization. And despite this, as we covered last week, the responses in the Dáil from our own government here, it seems like we're stuck in the mud at the moment when it comes to legalization. We're talking about a health-led approach, which includes criminalizing people. That makes no sense at all. Like, as soon as you start criminalizing a person, you're damaging their health. I speak from experience in that. When I got criminalized for my cannabis possession, that done untold damage to me. That fucked up my mindset where I was activated. I was turned into some, like, I suppose slowly over the years, you could say I've become an extremist with the way in which I've approached things, because I've now started just engaging in civil disobedience, where I just straight up openly breaking the law, challenging the authorities to come and arrest me. It's to the point where I actually go into the Garda station and challenge them. And this is all off the back of what they done to me. This isn't something I chose to do. This is more a reaction off of what they done to me. So yeah, in effect, like when they talk about a health-led approach, like to take criminalization out of that, because if you keep it in there, sorry, you're going to damage people's health, But anyway, like the French government there, fair play to them. So this comes from the French MP, Jean-Baptiste Moreau. And he's the head of the Parliamentary Commission. And he said this, that the legalization of recreational cannabis is possible in France, and the country should hold a public consultation or referendum on its use. We really must have a debate to enlighten citizens on this issue. Today we have a ban, but we have record levels of consumption, so the situation is untenable. Prohibition is not working. It just creates a parallel market. We have a significant parallel economy which creates other networks such as an arms trafficking and others, which finances other networks such as arms trafficking and others, including human trafficking in that. He said that decriminalisation would not be enough, and that the government would need to establish a system of checks on the quality of products and the price of products sold. And he's finished his statement with saying that they will make proposals within a month. So that's very promising stuff, and it seems like that they're hellbent in getting this done in an expedient manner. Like, he's going to make a proposal within a month. I hope that proposal includes a referendum on it, because it seems they've already held a public consultation. Like, even in some of the more Republican quarters of Paris, which would have been thought to have been like staunch kind of anti-cannabis legalization, nearly 60% of people in those areas voted for it. So it seems like the opinion of the public has been gathered by the French authorities. So I hope they act on that, and they put into place now a referendum, and it seems based off of that questionnaire that the referendum would pass and that cannabis would be legalized. And if France legalises cannabis, guys, that's a big thing again for Ireland. We talk about like England if they legalise, but if France legalises it, that's a big one as well for Ireland. It's just that's only an hour's boat drive away. It's a 30-minute plane, or an hour on a plane or something like that. Anyway, it's not very far all to get to France from Ireland. And it's going to open up the doorway for cannabis legalisation in Ireland. At least it really legitimises the conversation. Not to say that the conversation is illegitimate, but our government and the people in charge seem to think that it's kind of a non-issue, that it's not worth engaging with, that what they're doing currently is effective. And it's not. They're discriminating against us. They're discriminating against so many people out there. Cannabis, it's the most widely consumed drug in Ireland, illegal drug in Ireland. I think at the moment, I'd say cannabis consumption would maybe compete with alcohol consumption under the current conditions, and that pubs and everything are closed. I'd say there's just as many people consuming cannabis at home now as there is consuming alcohol. Maybe there's more people consuming alcohol because, cannabis can be difficult at times to get. But yeah, I think that if France legalises cannabis, it will certainly be very positive for Ireland and our fight for legalisation. So, vive la France! Vive la revolution! Legalize cannabis! Sorry guys, yeah. So guys, that is it. Thanks everybody for tuning in and bearing with me throughout the duration of the show today. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring the news to you. A little less than usual, but still, nonetheless, packed full of cannabis-related news, and some from Ireland, some from abroad, some good, some bad, but yeah, we do try to mix it up in there and have a little bit of a crack on the way. So guys, thanks everybody for your comments. It's so great to see so much interaction, guys, out there with the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you as an audience, guys. I'm going to quickly just blaze up a bowl here, pack it up and blaze it in tribute to you guys out there. I'm just paying tribute to my fans, to the supporters of the show, to the supporters of cannabis legalization, guys, because I'd imagine, like, if you're watching this show, that's pretty much why you're watching the show. You're not really watching it for me, but more for what I'm saying and what I'm doing. Fuck me, like, it's not about me, it's about the message. So guys, a tribute to ye, all you amazing people out there. Oh, don't do it, Martin, no. Oh, there we go, let's go. So I hope you're all nice and blazed out there, guys. Hope you were able to source something nice for today. Ooh. Had a close one there. I was lucky I had a backup lighter this time. Wouldn't make the same amateur mistake twice. I have a few more lighters around there as well. Excuse me, guys. Some comments coming in. John Q says, living in Ireland is like living in a giant mental asylum. Yeah, it certainly does, man. You feel like banging your head off the wall, certainly, when it comes from some of the responses of our government. It seems like that their brain just isn't switched on at all, that they're just operating like fucking, I don't know, based upon somebody else's input, that they're not able to think for themselves. Do you know, they're not free thinkers. Yeah, they're kind of puppets, I suppose, if you will. Colum M says, I've had guards being very malicious to me for a small possession. Last time they claimed I had coke but didn't, and claimed I was producing drugs. They found a 20 bag, pure psychotic malice. Man, that is ridiculous, man. That guard had a hard on for you. Ridiculous. Nice one for sharing your experience. I hate hearing stories like that, because it really goes to show, there is real pricks of guards out there. As I say, I like to try to see that they're just doing their job and what have you. But like, when it comes to this, like, that's a proper cunt, like, there's no other way of saying it. Like, if you're coming down hard on people for possession, you catch a fellow with drugs, look, just do your job, take the drugs off him, write his name down, be nice to the guy. Even if he's giving you a load of shit, alright, if he's giving you a load of shit, there's only so much a guard can take before he gets pissed off at you. But look, if a guard is respectful to me in the beginning, I'll be somewhat respectful to him. I'll let him have an airful, but in a respectful way, I'll keep a nice, calm, level tone, but there'll be fucking facts just flying out, whether the guard likes it or not. But again, I'll keep respect at all times, as long as the guard keeps respect to me. Dave Gorman says, guards take the piss with pressing charges. They don't like you for whatever reason. Yeah, that's dead right, man. I luckily, touch fucking wood, that I'm not jinxing myself, but I wasn't ever really targeted by any guard. I was targeted in that I was stopped and searched by one guard a couple of times, but when he stopped and searched me, he was kind of okay. He wasn't a cunt. Do you know, he was just Martin, do you know, and he'd have a bit of a crack with me while he was going through the process. Do you know, he was just doing his job, but it was kind of annoying. And do you know, got on grand. The last encounter I had with him, I kept a smile with him, and I said, you know, have a nice day, and I look forward to the day when we can stop and have a chat, and you know, you don't have to suspect me of having cannabis because it's legal. I goes, because you're probably a nice guy behind all of that. And he just smiled, and he just kind of said, have a nice day, Martin. And you know, that conversation started actually in that car. It was a checkpoint. My daughter was in the car seat next to me, and do you know what the guard said to me? He said, Martin, I don't have to search your car today, do I? That's what he said to me. Like, and my response was, no, no, you don't. You don't have to search my car. I've nothing in my car. And do you know, and finishing then, do you know, I kind of left with, I hope we don't have to be enemies, because we don't. I don't see him as an enemy. He certainly sees me as that. I am Toby says, what if you go and a guard finds my weed on me again? My man will kill me if I get caught again. Yeah, yeah, that's a heartbreaker, man. That was bad for me. My old lady wasn't too happy. Not that I got caught with cannabis, but because there was cops calling to the front door. Do you know, oh, what will the neighbours think comes to mind? She didn't like that stuff. But yeah, other comments coming in. Malmorn says 10 years. Yeah, he said 10 years back in 1995. He thought it would be legalized in 1995, 10 years. And yeah, you know where we are now. We're 2020, like, so that was 25 years ago, man. Heartbreaker. Dave Gorman says, I am not a criminal for smoking herb. I consider a medicine. 100%, man. It's a human's rights issue. You consider this a medicine, and you should have the freedom of choice over what to consume. You know, imagine if the government in the morning said, you know, you're not allowed to use turmeric, you're not allowed to drink coffee, you know, and denied us access to these other very beneficial plant medicines and plant products. It's not right. They're crossing the line. Sean T says, don't forget to sign online petitions to legalize cannabis, and have a good one, guys. Fair play, Sean, man. Yeah, definitely, guys. Sign online petitions if you got the time. I kind of lost patience in that stuff. I think petitions get ignored. I do definitely try to sign them from time to time to show support for campaigns, just to get the numbers up and stuff like. But a lot of the times it's very disheartening when it's kind of petition after petition after petition. Like, it's just, oh, what's going to give it? Like, oh, what's the petition? Like, how many people we get at the entire planet to sign the petition? Like, will that be enough to legalize cannabis around the world? Will we aim for that? Will we just do that petition? Just one petition to end all petitions. Legalize drugs all over the world. Start that petition there, guys, and then I don't have to sign any more petitions. Dave Gorman says, same here, Martin. I lost all respect for the guards after how they acted and how I was treated over 30 euros worth of soap bar hash. Man, it is, you see, there you go, like another person who's lost respect for Gardaí because of the treatment around the prohibition of drugs, and they shouldn't be doing that. You know, it's counterproductive to the Gardaí standing in community. You know, you want to be able to look at a Gardaí with respect, because at the same time, you know, while we look down on the Gardaí, we hate them for what they do to us as a community. I respect Gardaí for the many other things they do in their day-to-day activities. You know, I hate the stuff searching us and checking tax and insurance and shit. Like, that's shitty stuff that they're made to do, because they have to go and look for, like, missing people. They have to be, like, responding to serious accidents, you know, like the murder of that baby out on the south side of Cork City there, going back 2 years ago. Like, there was guards involved who had to attend that scene, and they see horrific, brutal things, you know. So as much as I dislike what they do to us, I kind of respect other aspects of what they do, and I think it's a very tough job that they do. And this is part of my campaign why I want to see it easier for them and end this war on drugs. Like, the Gardaí do fucking it's a tough enough job as it is. Really, it is. Do you know what I mean? You have to attend murders, rapes, take statements, all these brutal, horrific things. Do you know what I mean? I tip my hat to the Gardaí out there for these other jobs that they do. I really do, you know? But when it comes to the other stuff, like, man, it really does. It's very hard to respect them. I see what Dave is saying and how hard it can be to respect them. Do you know, I hate it. And as I said to that guard the last time, I look forward to the day when I can truly look at him with respect. Because until like prohibition ends, I can't truly look at him with respect. You know, there will never sit well in my heart. Do you know, as much as I want it to, as much as I desire it to, I want to look at the police, the Gardaí in our community as good people. But unfortunately, man, they're not. They're not currently. So yeah. Sean says, enjoy the show. Nice one, Sean. And Batang says, Viva la France. Give me a good old giggle. Nice one, Martin. Happy days. Hopefully Yokes will be legalised too. That comes in from Soap, dude. 100%, man. I think we need to legalise and regulate all drugs. That's my opinion. You know, it's the name of the show to highlight the harms of prohibition, and prohibition includes all drugs. Prohibition of all drugs. That's the name of the show. I do campaign for cannabis legalisation, and I certainly do campaign for the decriminalisation of all drugs, and definitely for the opening conversation as to the pathways as to how consumers of other drugs can get access to them. I'm not an expert in that stuff. Other comments coming in there. Monsieur Fudge says, thanks, Martin, as always. Sometimes no news is good news, but if so, keep some kind of short rolling. Nice one, Monsieur. It's always a pleasure to see you in the comments there. Regular of the show. Pat says they're radicalizing people. They are, like they kind of radicalized me. It took time. I was certainly radicalized in the beginning, but that was subdued by other people. You know, people would tell me, calm down a little bit, Martin, you know, try this thing, try that thing, send a letter here, sign that petition there, you know. And I certainly did have my radicalisms subdued a bit over time, but it's like these efforts were kind of met with dead ends where politicians ignored us every opportunity they got. So I've been left with no choice now but civil disobedience. I don't respect the law. I don't see legitimacy in it, so I am not going to follow it. Torlock Malloy says Luxembourg was mentioned legalising cannabis in 2019. If that's still in the pipeline, that plus France possibly legalising could speed up the change here. Certainly, I think as soon as any European country that legalizes cannabis will certainly do a lot to speed up the legalizing of cannabis than in other countries. As it stands currently, I don't know of any European country that has a legal cannabis market as such. I think Switzerland being the closest to having up to 1% of cannabis allowed, but that's still incredibly restrictive. So there is no European country, to my understanding, that has a legalized cannabis market. Spain is probably the closest with their cannabis social clubs, but still it's illegal there. It's not legal. All these MJ laws pretty mother me much. I mean, come on, please. You think we need these laws? Because I have to get I have to get a fucking I have to get a Jamie in here. I don't know if you all know what a Jamie is, but he's like a host or what's they called, a producer, a show producer who should tell me what to read, give me comments to read, because I'm trying to filter through your comments here, and I'm trying not to have like big silent gaps as I try to find a comment that's some way readable, because lads, I don't know, some of your fucking your grammar and your sentences, they're just illegible. I'd be reading them and it's just like words are here and there. Sorry lads, you know, it probably makes sense to you when you're typing it. Maybe English isn't your common language. Monsieur Fudge says need a petition that serves need a petition with the serving guards. See what they think would be nice. Surely not all of them have the same views bred into them. Yeah, I think our guards aren't allowed to express their views. You know, I'm not too sure. I would love to see a survey done of guards that would ask them their views on the Misuse of Drugs Act and a number of questions around that. I would love to see a survey done on that. Would they be allowed to participate in it? I don't know. I'm not too sure, but I don't see why not. They done the survey for the kind of the PTSD one, so I don't see why not. I would love to, if there's somebody out there who can make that happen, survey our Gardaí and see what their views are on the enforcement of the Misuse of Drugs Act. Kitmore says, I heard French government is extremely ignorant when it comes to drug policy. You could be right. I don't know a whole lot about French politics, but what I've been reporting on the news, it seems promising. It seems like they're engaging anyway with their citizens there, and they're kind of announcing different things, reflecting what's going on in the community. You know, effectively that cannabis use is at an all-time high. Hey, but despite that, you know that they need to do something in order to actually have a proper health-led approach. You know, because that I think that's what they're kind of saying in France. They want to have quality controls and pricing controls, and to probably take taxes in order to put money back into things like prevention programs and stuff like that, or education programs. Yeah. So other comments, Cock Driller says, can't wait for a gear dispensary to come to Cork. Yeah, man, like I would love to see something like Switzerland. Switzerland have some great gear dispensaries. They're known as supervised injection centers, and people can register there and go and get their heroin and inject, and they're not stigmatized at all. They go in early in the morning and they get their dose, and they actually go off and do a day's work. A lot of them. So yeah, I certainly do look forward to the day when we have a gear dispensary and we're following in the footsteps of places like Switzerland. Because currently what we have at the moment, when you're walking down alleyways and there's needles everywhere. I went for a walk yesterday across Cork City, and I seen about 4 or 5 discarded needles, and I should have probably took photos and uploaded them to my buddy's open litter map, but unfortunately I'm only thinking of that now. But look, there's needles everywhere being found in the city. So yeah, I do definitely look forward to the day when there's what you say, a dispensary. I don't know, you kind of being sarcastic there or what, but like, yeah, I certainly do I welcome the supervised injection centres, and taking the drugs out of the hands of the dealers, and actually taking a health-led approach, helping people, you know. Because Switzerland have certainly shown the way forward, and I really do want to follow their footsteps. Um, Bitcoin is power. It's called the pharmacy, guys. Yeah, that there you go. Like it's called the pharmacy. Joe Rogan's slave. That comes in from my Toby. He's slagging Jamie, the Joe Rogan slave. Pull that up there, Jamie. You know, do that there, Jamie. Yeah, I certainly need one of those. Let's see, maybe in time to come, once I can get out of the confines of my current studio, and once I start renting a place in the city, I might do public shows where I actually maybe invite in one or two of yourselves, and we can have a bit more participation in the show, a cool little lounge, if you will. So yeah, that's definitely going to come very soon. And Cork Driller says we're all stoned off our heads. That's why. Yeah, come here. That was a perfectly well put together sentence there, man. I don't know what you're on about. Maybe your cannabis isn't working. Mr. Scooby Doo, what's happening out there, Mr. Scooby Doo? Keeping the representing in the Twitch world, man. Nice one to see you. And there's somebody else out there as well with you in the Twitch world at the moment. I see 2 of you watching, but happy days. Nice one for tuning in. Guys, I see so many comments coming in. We're getting to the end of them there, actually. We'll try to push on through. Hemp equals 42 in simple English. Gemethra. Man, you have a long username. Okay, fortunately, I've read studies and articles about studies taking quotes from the studies, the articles about stating medical marijuana can help one's cognitive functions. Yeah, that's the studies you're on about there. Is it from Mary Cannon, is it? Where basically she takes quotes from studies that are quoting studies that cannabis does harm. And it's a nightmare then to try to get back to the original study that they're actually referencing, which says actually no. What they find kind of wasn't that cannabis did harm. Mr. Scooby Doo says just watch the Kinahan documentary. Gotta take the business out of these kind of guys' hands, pure filth. Man, it's a very good show, actually. It was very eye-opening too, as to the whole kind of underworld, the criminal enterprise that goes on there. Man, these guys are like they're pretty much untouchables in ways, in the way in which they operate, because they're like they're like 3 or 4 steps ahead of the authorities all the time, and the people who fall in for it are the likes of like me, because as I say, when I was a young fella, I was buying kilos, and a kilo at a time. I was never buying kilos. I was only ever buying a kilo of a time of cannabis. but there was always a guy above me making more money, you know, and a guy probably above him making even more money. And it was us who would have got caught with the cannabis, you know, because we were the ones moving it. The guy, actually, the big guys, say the likes of the Kinnans, who probably aren't even at the tops of the echelons of the drug cartel world, but they keep themselves so far removed that they never really get caught. So it's like, it's time we end it, because that's the best way we can deal with these guys, is by ending the drug war, control, like following what Switzerland have done for heroin, following what maybe Spain has done for cannabis, not entirely, but actually legalizing it, but having the cannabis social club model. Like those are some good models there for accessing drugs. Cocaine, well, we already have pharmacies. Why can't a person just walk into a pharmacy, produce their ID, and buy a bag of coke? Why? Why not? I don't know why. Can anybody tell me why a person shouldn't be able to walk into a pharmacy and buy a fair trade bag of cocaine? Cocaine that does not have blood associated with its production and its transportation across the world. Why? Why shouldn't we do that? Other comments coming in there, guys. Boom. Cork Driller, dead serious, Martin. And yeah, dead serious, yeah. Up the Swiss. That's what he's dead serious about. Sorry, I missed that first comment. Up the Swiss, dead serious, 100%, man. Yes. But other comments coming in there. People do what people do. Best we can do is make it safe, and that comes in from Sean. Yeah, like there's been talks there, guys, at the moment within the cannabis activist community that we're at the point now where the government have been ignorant, they're dragging their feet, they're not allowing us access to our industry. But the best thing we can do now is to set up our own industry, to set up our own cannabis collectives, form and organise our own clubs. I think we could follow something like the Spanish or the English, the UK Cannabis Social Club model, where it's not for profit, where we just keep track and trace of everything. All the members sign up. It's a protest, but it's a harm reduction service too, because we're trying to distance ourselves from the criminal underworld, from the likes of the Kinnan. Sorry to anybody out here in the Kinnan world, for keep on using you, like, but you know, you're the go-to at the moment in Ireland, it seems. But you know, that's what we should do. We should set up our own little cannabis collectives, our little cannabis grow clubs, where we grow cannabis and distribute it amongst maybe a small group of people, maybe 5 or 10, 20 people, form a club. One person, 2 people grow the cannabis. They get paid for their time for growing the cannabis. A couple of people get paid for trimming the cannabis. And then any extra money that's left over at the end of the month, when rent and electricity and everything is paid, it goes into maybe purchasing different equipment for extracts, or maybe social nights and things like that. I don't know, but it's just throwing it out there for yourselves, guys. You know, organise it yourselves. That's what we need to do now, because currently the government are failing us, and by us now buying cannabis and not knowing our source, we are empowering the bigger criminal gangs out there at the moment, and I don't want to do that anymore. So yeah, form your own clubs, guys. Grow your own cannabis. It's the best thing to do. And if you ever get caught, that's your argument in court. What you've been doing is a protest. The government have been ignorant. You were doing so to distance yourself from the criminal gangs. You have a constitutional right to a freedom of association. Your association was formed under that freedom, and you're standing up for your freedoms by forming an association that is interested in cannabis production and reducing harms to the cannabis community, and not filling the pockets of criminal gangs. You know, there's so many reasons why you need to form a cannabis grow association. Call it what you will, but form it, grow your own cannabis, and stop supporting gangs. Man, there's loads more comments after coming in. Nice one, guys, for all the comments. We get used to we get used to it a lot more from our food. Yeah. We used to get a lot of it from our food. Yeah, you're dead right. Actually, we used to get a lot of cannabinoids and stuff like that from our foods. Going back to the early 1900s, hemp would have been included in a lot of animal feeds, and that in turn would have maybe transferred some cannabinoids over to the meat of the animals, to the animal products, the milk, the cheese, the eggs, from those animals. So yeah, certainly there would have been a lot more cannabinoids available in our food products. maybe 200, 150 to 200 years ago, because of how prolific hemp was across the world and growing it for that very reason. It was such a valuable crop, not just for its fiber, but for its nutrition, for not humans, but animals also. And that's it there, guys. Yeah, I see a few more comments, but I think that's more conversation amongst yourselves. Would you do up a few templates for potential clubs? I most certainly will. Not a bother at all. I kind of have started stuff there myself in the past, because that always has been an idea I had forming a grow collective. Because I'm sick of like having to get cannabis off of the dealers out there when my own person who grows it, my buddy who grows it, is out, because yeah, he does from time to time run out. And yeah, certainly I will do up a template there. I will complete a template, and anybody who's interested in a template, get in touch with me. Maybe I'll just put it up online, actually make it available publicly for anybody to get access to it, and even for the authorities to see it. Yeah, I think that's what I might do. I think Normal might have had something like that out there as well before. So I'll get in touch with the guys there and see if they have a completed one as well. So yeah, there's that. That's it. Mr. Scooby-Doo says, all the best, Martin, you legend. Keep fighting the good fight. Cannabis plus monkey equals human, says Sean. Possibly. I think maybe it's more mushrooms plus monkey equals human. Going to the stoned ape theory. But yeah, that's maybe a conversation for another day. We could probably do a whole episode just all around mushrooms and human evolution. I do think that there's definitely some credibility there to that theory, that mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms mainly, contributed to the expansion of consciousness to the human brain and things like that. So yeah, we could talk about that another day. Boom. Hi all, grow local would be the best way, and that comes in from Eleanor Simmons. 100% guys, grow your own, grow local, form a club, go to collective. If you go to court, is it not better that you have 20 of you going into court for the plants that you were growing and standing up for your constitutional rights together? Because remember guys, there is power in numbers, and we are all citizens. We live in a democracy. We have a constitution, and we have to stand up for it. The government are going to resist our stand, but we need to just resist their resistance at all times. You know, don't give up. So yeah, guys, what you getting in 50 bags these days? How many grams? As far as I'm hearing out there, guys, there's maybe 2.5 grams to 3.5 grams at the moment for a 50 bag in Ireland. If you're proper getting stung, you're getting 2 grams. The Cali stuff was going for more, actually. Yeah, there was like 2 or 3 grams of Cali was like 50 or for 100 quid. So yeah, Malmornan is saying 3 grams here for 50 quid. But yeah, guys, absolute pleasure. I've gone over the hour mark today. It's been a good crack to chat with you guys. Thanks everybody for the comments. I forgot to mention, guys, that I have been given a new feature over on YouTube that I will intend to use going forward, maybe in the coming weeks. It's known as super chats and super tags and stuff like that. And basically what it is, it helps kind of generate funds for the show, for the kind of renting of the premises that I was talking about, where I hope that we can hold meetings organised for cannabis legalisation. But I also hope to host the show and hold little community gatherings to socialise with yourselves out there and the cannabis community. So through the super chat on YouTube, you can kind of make any donation, any amount that you want, and your comment will be kind of highlighted up in it. But what I intend to do is I might hold kind of prizes. I might do raffles kind of through that, where if you enter with one of these super chats, I might give you like multiple entries into the competition. But a simple comment with a hashtag will get you, like anybody who comments, guys, I love your support, that support for the show itself. So ye too will be entered into these competitions. But with these super chats, just because it generates a bit of income, which will cover the rent, because that will become a reality very soon, that there will be a need to cover rent for a premises that I will be securing and getting the keys for hopefully very soon. So yeah, I will be doing that. So I'll give you multiple entries into these competitions as I run them. But yeah, that's open there right now. So anybody who's wishing to support the show at any time, any point in time, look, Mustawa has just done it there. Actually, I think, boom, happy days, Mustawa, man. You're a legend. There you go, and it pops up. I must sort out that zombie because it's not very fitting. But you're a legend. A nice one for the show, for the support there, Mustawa, and like just for kind of leading the way and showing that actually that works. So yeah, that euro now will go into a central fund. I think because the price of Bitcoin going up and the donations I've got, I've probably enough money there now to cover maybe 3 months of rent. So thanks very much, everybody out there. You all know who you are, who's shown your support up until now. There's a number of you over on Patreon as well that have contributed. Like I think there's about maybe another €50 after being generated there through Patreon. So thanks very much to each and every one of you who has supported the show financially. As I say, guys, none of that's gone into my pocket. And in fact, there's more money come out of my pocket to support the show than anything. It's like the money to get the show on the 3 platforms, I pay that. The money to host the website, I pay that. And I don't mind paying it. I'm happy to pay it. This is a hobby. This is a campaign that I believe my heart and my soul is behind, and also my own pocket money, my own spare change that I kind of have to do and spend on nice things on myself. That's how I spend it. So the money you give me will be used now in future to maybe rent a premises, to bring together, hold meetings, to socialise, and to have the fight for cannabis legalisation, like truly take off in Cork and Ireland. So again, thanks very much, Mustawa, there for your donation, and to anybody else who has made a donation to the show, and everybody else who has liked, shared, and just let people know about the show, guys. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, guys. Much love to you all. I really do appreciate that support. Can't thank you enough. The show would be nothing without you. So yeah, guys, it is it's about time I start signing off. I think I've tried to sign off there now about 4 or 5 times maybe already. It's like the usual the kind of Irish goodbye, isn't it? You say goodbye, but then you start talking about something else for another 5 minutes, and then you say goodbye again, and then talk again. So yeah, look, I'm gonna pack up an old bowl, and I'm gonna leave you with that one. So stay blazed out there, guys, and keep her lit. Much love to you all, guys. I'll be back Wednesday with more 420 news. Until then, guys, take care. Dodgy later. See you all again, guys.